Hello, people. I'm Detroit Miracle. Yes, and indeed. Right now, I am here to have more comic book fun discussion topics. This such topic will be about Superman, but it is a twist in it. This is not the Clark Kent Superman that we've all come to admire and appreciate. Instead, this is a black Superman from another Earth, a parallel Earth that they call Earth 23. So, in on Earth 23, this Superman isn't named Clark Kent. He's named Calvin Ellis, and he's a black person. He's a black dude. So apparently the story stands true in Calvin Ellis's Superman verse, where he came from Krypton. His parents sent him away as the planet was burning up, and he arrived on Earth, but he wasn't found by Clark Kent, Martha Kent, whoever, like the Kents, so to speak, who named Clark Kent. Like this particular guy was found by some other family, the Ellis family. It is said that this family was poor and humble, and they conditioned Ellis as a little boy, or Calvin Ellis as a little boy, to be a good natured person and stand for good and do what is right. And so happens he was an alien from Krypton. So this is another version of the Superman tale. So this particular boy, Kryptonian, with all the Superman Kryptonian powers, because this is a Kryptonian Superman. But it's one slight difference. Kryptonite isn't lethal to Calvin Ellis slash Black Superman. There's another substance that's lethal that replaces the kryptonite. It's called metanite. That becomes the kryptonite to the Calvin Ellis Superman, as they explain it. So it's mixed up. It's like different verses and different things in different verses that could do different things in terms of how the multiverse works in the comic book universes. Okay. And I got to mention that, of course, this is going to shock you. Calvin Ellis, that is the president of the United States. If I forgot to mention it, he's also the president of the United States. Wow, he's the Black Superman too. So he does both jobs as being the president of the United States, and then he puts on his uniform and flies and becomes Superman. That's amazing. Okay, let me tell you about the special talents of Calvin Ellis that Clark Kent doesn't have. We know that Calvin Ellis, Superman, has all of Clark Kent's Kryptonian powers, but Calvin Ellis, the black Superman, was trained in martial combat. They say they trained him expertly in boxing, where he was just as good as someone, or just as close as someone like Muhammad Ali. It was said that. So, he was well trained in boxing. So they say he's even more tougher than Clark Kent Superman, because Clark Kent wasn't trained in boxing or martial arts. But his super strength makes up for all of that anyway. But they said that a foe with Superman's abilities trained in martial combat or boxing would be even more proficient and deadlier. So they said the black Superman is probably tougher in ways than Clark Kent's, because he can box, fight, rough it out. He had well training and conditioning instilled inside of him on a physical tip and mental tip. So in other words, he was athletically trained in terms of that, in terms of skill set. And they said he's a very intelligent person, like in terms of mindset, intelligence. So he's a Kryptonian genius, in other words. So that would work. Oh, and by the way, I would do a power levels comparable with regard to the Black Superman in stories and graphics and other particulars. I'll sum total it with this particular statement and all of the Black Superman's characterizations and in terms of stories, he's characterized as immensely powerful, much the same as Clark Kent Superman is. But this black Superman's character is called Calvin Ellis. That's incredible. Well, let me know what you think about this.